All right. I've had about the past 40 minutes to warm myself up. This is take 3. And my brain is just not in it. I'm not in any kind of flow state for talking, which in the past I have been. Maybe now I've greased the gears enough that I can get something proper out. So today, we're just going to have another little chat. Last time I did this was the end of April, and I haven't really been public about my progress over the past couple of months, so I felt that at the very least I would provide something just to let everybody know where I'm at. It's currently 1:44 in the morning. Technically, it is August 15th. I'm still mentally in August 14th, though, because I haven't gone to sleep yet. This weekend I'm going on vacation, so I thought I would just do this, have a good night's sleep, and then enjoy my weekend. So with that, let's talk a bit about what I've been up to for the past little while. I've posted a few things on my YouTube since the last time we just kind of sat and talked like this, you and I. And I've been, here or there talking about where the project is going, how far I've got through it, and what's finished and what's next and all that. I've had a chance since releasing my last announcement about, sharing stories with the community and stuff like that. I've had the chance to talk with a number of people. And that's been like my favorite thing about all of this. For the majority of being a Devin Townsend fan, I didn't get that opportunity to really sit and talk with other people that enjoyed the music like I did. And so to have these people reach out and say, I'm interested in this, that, or the other, and hearing about their favorite albums and their stories about how they got into the music and stayed with it after and why the music is special to them it's been great, because it's not just my story anymore. And there's so many parallels too between my story and theirs, but as well their stories and other people's stories who I've heard. And that's kind of what I expected. So I'm really glad I get to collect them together and put them somewhere for everybody to connect with. Interviews are still open, by the way. I know it's been a couple months since I announced it, but honestly, these interviews are going to go for a long time, well into me making this project, because it's going to be forever before I finish this stuff, truly. It would be weird for me to stop doing interviews now when there's still so much of the project to make. There's so much more of an opportunity for me to hear from more people. I think I'll make a proper announcement saying when I'm done with interviews, because I need to, edit this stuff, and I can't keep, last minute editing people's perspectives into this, but we're not there yet. If you haven't had a chance to reach out and you want to sit and chat about that, then by all means, please, you can comment down below. You can reach out to me on social media or wherever. But please, yeah, it's been the best part about this project to hear from you. What else have I done? Oh, I contributed with a few artists, namely Flacco Weasel, who, for any seasoned Devin Townsend fan, already knows who they are. Flacco has contributed in the form of creating music videos for Devin, the backdrop for the Order of Magnitude tour. She has done some animated stuff for that. Her art style is very recognizable, and her and I have collaborated, mostly my ideas, her efforts, in creating DevHead, which is the name I've coined for this. She's basically animated or drawn the frames of Devin, from shoulders up, as like a cartoon character, and then provided me with numerous drawings of mouth shapes so that I can animate them over top of him whenever I'm using a podcast clip. So rather than just having the audio, DevHead is here to narrate it, basically, so the audience has something to look at, as well as, with appropriate pictures or videos that I would want to show during the clip. At least there is this, and it kind of adds to the whole collaborative effort thing. So, and to have Flacco be a part of this, knowing of her contributions to Devin's cause so far really makes this project feel so much more legit. And I'm so, like, it's so cool. You know, I'm truly at a loss for appropriate words to describe how awesome it is to have these kinds of connections now. I've made so many friends over this year so far because of this project, and to be able to work side by side with members of the community as notable as people like Flacco is just, it's the best. It's truly the best. And so again, there's been a few videos on my YouTube kind of showcasing DevHead and what he's on about. He's going to be in the Devin Townsend Super-spective very frequently because there's a lot of podcast clips I pull information from and use for that. So I'm super thankful to have that connection in this project. It just makes it feel so much more legit. Flacco's not the only artist that's contributing on this. So I'm excited to say that, you know, the more that I hear about people's stories and capture these interviews as well as collaborate with these artists, it becomes less about me and more about us as a community, kind of welcoming in new members and saying, look at how cool this is, as opposed to just, you know, them listening to the music kind of without any help, like most of us probably did. The other thing is now obviously that the script is done, which I announced with the video that I talked about sharing stories and interviewing people. Now that the script is done, I'm actually properly into making the project. I'm actually recording the script now. I'm actually, you know, reading the script now, recording it for the project. I'm actually working on the project. It's not just a precursor step anymore, like note-taking or script writing or talking to people. I'm actually making it now, which has been a lot of fun too, to be honest. Really, now that the script is done, I've got the framework for the story, and it's made it so much easier to just put it together, and the vision becomes a reality. And so far, it's exceeded my expectations. So, in the past 3 weeks, I think, 2 or 3 weeks, I've finished the first 3 sections of the project. I forget how many sections there are, but I've really not even like scratched the surface for how much of this I have to do still. So the first 3 sections, part 0 technically is section 1, but part 0 is the intro. For how long this project is going to be, I needed an appropriately lengthed intro to set the mood and get everybody into the right mindset to start this experience. And so with it came, you know, like there's a viewer discretion is advised section, because there is a bit of mature subject matter that we're going to talk about, obviously, with the story. If you know Devin's history, there's drug abuse and suicide involved. So, and it's just kind of, you know, we talk about what this project is going to be about. You know, what are we going to try and tackle by going through this history? And then part 1 is obviously like the early life stuff, from his birth, because we have to start somewhere, up until part 2, where part 2 starts, which is Steve Vai, Sex and Religion, and then the Wild Hearts kind of transitional period before he starts to release his own stuff. And so part 0 and part 1, the intro and the early life, are together because they're the 2 shortest sections. There's the least amount of content because we don't need to go into extreme detail on his childhood. Obviously, there's some important stuff, you know, his influences like the Dark Crystal and Puppets, and his musical influences like Metallica and Enya and stuff like that need to be addressed so that we can set ourselves up appropriately for his actual music career. And those 2 sections together are about 12 and a half minutes. And then part 2, which is the Steve Vai era stuff, is the stuff that I just finished today, apart from a few clips that I need to add in there, is 26 minutes. So it's like twice the length of the 2 parts before it. So we got a Fibonacci sequence going, which is, I hope it doesn't continue that way, or else this project is going to be like over 100 hours long. It'll be impossible to render if that's the case. But so yeah, together, both of those sections are roughly 40 minutes, which is really putting it into perspective just how long this project is going to be. I've had this like really latent fear over the past little while of having to release this project episodically, and I really don't want to do that. I want the Devin Townsend Super-spective to be one thing. I've had a few people that say, like, you keep talking about the size of this project, why don't you release it as episodes, like maybe one section at a time, and like put some time between releasing them so that there's like hype about the next section or something like that. And I understand the impact that would have, but releasing this in parts, I feel kind of just ruins the message. It would be the same project, but I feel like the work and the effort that has gone into making this would be ruined. Like it's as if we're putting in effort to create momentum. We are making the Devin Townsend Super-spective. This is the thing, we're creating this one thing. And to release it in parts is like just destroying that momentum in my mind. And I don't want to destroy the momentum. I don't like the idea of, say I release it in 3 parts, like a trilogy. And then everybody watches part 1 because it's part 1, and then nobody watches part 2 because it's made up of all these people that watched part 1 for maybe 5 minutes and gave up on it, and then part 2, I haven't watched part 1 yet, so I'm not going to click on that video. And then for some reason part 3 gets more views than part 2, and so many people just miss the story. It's like sitting down and watching the 3rd act of a movie, not understanding who any of the characters are or the motivations of any of the characters, and then getting a conclusion for a message that is just incomplete in the audience member's mind. I don't like the idea of that even being just like a chance of that happening. I want so bad for this to just be one start to finish thing, and if people don't want to watch it, then people don't have to watch it. If people do want to watch it, then at least it's all there, and they just have to click on one thing. What are the odds that YouTube's recommended just only shows off part 3 or part 2 and nobody clicks on it because it's not part 1? I'll release them all at the same time, on the same day, in the same place. I'll advertise them all the same way, but at the end of the day, I'm putting something on the internet. It is still effectively just shooting off in 3 different directions, and the chances of any one of them being seen is so small that there's no point in assuming that all 3 parts are going to be shown to the same degree as each other. But then again, I'm thinking about the hardware I've got here. What are the odds that my computer can handle rendering however long this is, like 30-hour long project? What are the odds that it crashes and I can't render it all in one and I have to release it episodically? What then? It's inconsistencies that I cannot control. Inconsistencies that I can't cope with until I see results. It's not going to be until I finish this project that I know that this is something I do or do not have to worry about. I don't want to release them episodically. I want the Devin Townsend Super-spective to be one thing, and at the very least, I want to release the whole thing from start to finish as one video first. Perhaps afterwards I can release it as an episodic fashion. Release the whole thing, and then maybe a week later I'll just release, for ease of access, I guess I can release just part 1, part 2, and part 3, if that's what I do. And that way, if people choose to just watch part 1 or part 2 or part 3 and nothing else, then so be it. But at the very least, the whole thing is there for people to watch from start to finish without interruptions, or, it just feels more authentic that way, and the momentum is kept. So that's where I'm at. Next week, I'm going to start part 3, which is the heavy is a really heavy thing, Punky Brewster era of his story. And then after that, it's City and Ocean Machine, and then Infinity and Physicist, and off we go. I still have no idea how long this project is going to take me. I haven't set a concrete date on when I would finish it because I have no idea what I'm doing. I've never done anything like this before. Every day has been a new experience when dealing with this project, and it's great. And I'm really satisfied with it. I just hope that it can all be released as one thing, because that's the vision. And so far it has exceeded my expectations and maintained the authenticity that it was when it was just in my head. And in my head, it is one project from start to finish, available for everyone to view. So for it to be released as any other fashion would be not to my vision, and therefore it would miss the mark for me, and it would not meet my expectations. So fingers crossed. I don't really know what else to talk about. I don't think I have to talk about anything. I would like to mention, just to have that out there, that once this project is finished and done, it's not the end for me. I'm not just going to disappear off the face of the earth now that my project has been released. I've been thinking about doing, when it's done, doing like a director commentary where I just sit and I talk about the project and like all the behind the scenes kind of, when I did that this happened, and then this happened that day that I recorded that. It's just cool kind of behind the scenes information or whatever. And as well, I may have brought this up before, I'm not certain, but I want to do a more of a behind the scenes kind of version of this project where it focuses less on the project itself and more on me as a human being. Part of the reason why I started this project was to get more in touch with my mental health. It was recommended to me by my therapist to consider these kinds of things and, have these kind of diary chats. And so on top of these ones where I release them publicly and we talk about, what's going on, I do also just sit and record myself for the sake of it and with no intention of it being released. But I want to use those video clips as a sort of timeline for, here we are in July and here's where I'm at now, and I'm just going to talk about how I feel about it. And so that's kind of like an afterthought where I just sit and I talk about me for a bit, postscript, and just kind of, talk about my story. What does the Devin Townsend Super-spective mean to me? Why did I make it? Why did I decide that it was important to do? So once this whole thing is said and done, there's still more on my plate after the fact. And I think that's cool, that I've got a little bit more momentum, a little left in the tank. That's not just, I did the thing that I was passionate about, now I go back to being the person I was before I started it, right? I really do hope to grow in some ways as a result of making this project, and in ways I have already, which is good to see. But the more I do this, and the more I do new things, the easier my future seems to be. So that's where I'm at now. I'm going to end this now. Thank you for your support. Again, being able to talk to all these people has been a lot of fun. Super motivating. If you haven't had a chance yet to reach out to me and you want to, talk about what Devin means to you, then do so. Comment here. Reach out to me on social media. My social media is available in places, probably in the description of this video. And yeah. Watch the other videos I've made about Devin Townsend if you're a Devin Townsend fan. I am heavily invested in this artist. And I think if you take the opportunity to see what I'm doing, you will agree with me when I say that. Okay. Bye. All done.